Mimo bibi akwaba eba Melodies TV so. There is a story that is currently trending. Now me want to say on social media people are setting fire on the government and on Sam George because apparently Sam George the ministry pass a new bill. Now for the very first time people who I know are not political, especially people in the tech sector. Now, for people who don't know me, I have a degree in computer science. So I know a lot of people in that field. And for the very first time, in now for four, and I'm for minima, was our field nimu. Womonya politicians, no, Kasetia Sam George. These are people who naturally will not comment on any political story in this country. But Womo Kasetia Sam George, Womo Trese, Sam Brawe Sam George, or Pesa Wadebano. So when he on my Ghana, nya ye fan who biom. That's what people are saying. I've heard lawyers also say so. I have not commented on it because personally, I have not read the draft. Bill na ye pesi ye deba na menken kan ye. Now, what I want to do right here is that maybe kind for the very first time. Now, Ayana, the reason why I do that, and it's sometimes me kind tremo for the very first time is because I want my first impression. What I say, the original impression, because sometimes I may kind answer me de beto ha na me kind ayana. You see, there are some emotions because my kind did that, it's not going to come out. So I'm also going to read for the very first time. We are going to read it together. 32 pages. Stay with me whilst we read the entire bill, because I deal with ever affected Ghana for what we are hearing is it is the new way a Ghana afe and here ebe tre yen senia yenye e social media. It is a wu tie me na bi a wu nim na akokọ ye nyama bi wo social media na sa nyama no sa new bill yi etia sa nyama na wan hwe a wo kodim for 5 years and 7 years. Nti ye be kinkan ni ehu bill no enyama e propose ni ahwe se omo kasetia Sam George no eye wo mo anka so mo interest in ti eno mo kasetia Sam George and say bill we ye bill bia ebebo Ghana, because ye ni ebedi adance ye say His Excellency John Dramani Mahama has been speaking against say obi be sorry no wako social media na or kasetia mpenyimfo. And ohwe NPP for recently the fake news ne stories are womotai editu jano ye ni na yate na ha ka say aban enye bibimfa ho. So is it that this bill yes I be treaty side and so that nkrofo nshas ye impost fake story and nkrofo nkoso impost fake stories bioma na and nkrofo bi su hu ana said yen. So we are going to go into the bill. And no. And then your first time subscribing, na click the notification bell. So here is our latest news be about one sa ebeka. Answer me ebeka bill ne mu no mesre. Se wo tie mi na wefu so. Na opese o reduce wefu in less than 1 month, right? Mesre there is a book. Na book no obehu link no e wo comment box emu. And as a number ne wo screen so no. The book no will show you 3 things. Oh yes anyama miensa na. In less than 1 month, we full ebeko form. The book is just 100 cedis. And grab the book, grab a copy, and then now let's go into the bill. As I was saying, so this is a 32-page bill offering the Cybersecurity Amendment Bill 2025. This is the arrangement of the sections and all that. Now let's go into the bill properly. Now, it's the Cybersecurity Amendment Bill 2025. A bill entitled Cybersecurity Amendment Bill 2025. I say an act to amend the Cybersecurity Act 2020, Act 1038, to confer powers on the Cybersecurity Authority to investigate and prosecute cybercrime, on the authority of the Attorney General and recover proceeds of cybercrime, to revise the object and functions of the Cybersecurity Authority, to revise the governance and administration of the Cybersecurity Authority, to revise the enforcement powers of the Cybersecurity Authority, and to provide for related matters. It's basically you share the summary of the bill. Now, bill where you say idea eba be yen say you see encrophobia or why from Cyber Security Authority. Now, Cyber Security Authority aban kuo bi a omo ehwe se nkrofo enyusu internet no emfe ndi bone. Nti wo hwese ne ankrofo use internet ne di wi ankrofo sika. Omo use internet no e dey threaten ankrofo. Omo use internet e dey bully ankrofo a. Your authority bi a your friend the cyber security authority a. Ye be hye wo mo kena ye be mo ahonden no mo akwanti asade no. Apparently that is the purpose of the bill. Na sa cyber security authority we omo ye ankrofo bi a ase omo wo ho de dadade. Nanso omo ahonden endru beebi a se wo bi eyisu ebia internet ni di bone a cyber security no be ko se omo kwa akwache sa ankrofo no omo ahonden ndu ho. Eji se police for na kwa akwaye se ejuma no. Nti se ye pass bi we a cyber security no ye be mo sa ahonden no. Into a cyber security authority ni officer ana bibi no hu ne se wo bi use social media di bone ana wo di twa ntrafo bi ho a onhia police officer nankasa betumi akwa akoche se nipa kon. Basically the bill is trying to strengthen the strengthen the cyber security authority to fight cyber crimes. That is what they are telling us. Now say section 3 of act 1038 amended. Also, the Cyber Security Act 2020, Act 1038, referred to in the Act as the principal enactment, is amended by Constitution for Section 3 of Objects of the Authority. Also, 3. The objects of the authority are to A. Regulate cyber security activities in the country. Into the first one, and they say, regulate cyber security activities. Into the first Ejuma cyber security for ebeyan say regulate the cyber security activities in the country. Into internet in nyama bia sankrofo ne be regulate. Now I see where people are sort of getting the problem, because you see omanya yetimu no extremely partisan. Into si yenim ni ese obi ba be regulate ye internet amayen ya. Yan he ya ebe sa ekuo no anasa aban aso eye no ebe kuntia opposition and criticism of the aban, because ende so bi kasetia aban ana obi criticize aban ana obi ye bibia ni na ye internet so it yesi ye be penkrofo bi no mo regulate the cyber security activities and no more regulate nyama bi ekoso wo internet so a. I understand where people are speaking from, but let's read everything and then get to. Also, prevent, manage, and respond to cybersecurity threats and cybersecurity incidents. Regulate owners of critical information infrastructure in respect of cybersecurity activities, cybersecurity service providers, cybersecurity professionals and practitioners, and cybersecurity establishments in the country. Promote the development of cybersecurity in the country to ensure a secured and resilient digital ecosystem. Prevent and detect cybercrime. To facilitate the confiscation of proceeds of cybercrime. Establish a platform for cross-sector engagement on matters of cybersecurity for effective coordination and cooperation between key public institutions and private sector. Create awareness of cybersecurity matters and collaborate with states, intergovernmental bodies, international organizations, and international agencies to promote the cybersecurity of the country. Intino ejuma ananke yesen krofo eba wo mo ba beye no ene na maliste. Cybersecurity ombe regulate cybersecurity activities e wo krum ha. Internet and it is coming at the back of and wo hwe sa momo fraud ne sa nyama na ni na akoso na enkrofo yi e be regulate activities, right? They will facilitate the confiscation of proceeds of cybercrime. Obi the internet no de bo bi krono a ye beba ni aba be che nipa krono ni agisika ne free nsem. Ati ase. Prevent and detect cybercrime. Sa new bill we ebema authority no to mean so that omo hwe ema yen use internet no embo obi akrono biom. As I'm saying no, these things on paper they look nice, but in the America no, people are trying to read meanings into it, say to the extreme, to the other side no. If you have an overly partisan government, na sa embra we ewo munsemu a wan hwe ya ye ebia ye kasetia aban, in the sense ebia ye mfa ne say President Akufo-Addo aban ena na o pass sa ade we ana ye nyina no ebia ye criticize aban no ya hwe ya nanka ye kra no yebeto asemu. So people are looking at that side, and I personally think that from that angle, it's legit, because we live in a country where I've always told you we are overly partisan. But then again, early this years we are just on page 3 of the 32-paged bill. Also, section 4A inserted. The principal enactment is amended by the insertion after section 4 of further functions of the authority. Now, say the authority shall, in addition to the functions in section 4, carry out the following functions. A. Subject to Article 88 of the Constitution, to investigate on the authority of the Attorney General prosecute cybercrime under this act. Into the yebema the cyber authority no yebemo the cyber security authority no yebemo to me na wo ankasa a investigate cybercrime. Say first no omo ananko mo investigate sa cybercrime in same way police for, but see and yebema sa cyber security for ni to me into obi the internet ni di bone a sa cyber security authority for yi enebe investigate. B. Establish standards for certifying the security of innovative products, artificial intelligence, cloud technology, quantum computing, big data, Internet of Things, blockchain-based technology, and any other emerging technologies. Now, this is where a lot of people are also finding issues. And I've told you, I have a background in computer science, and I'm seeing that in computer science, and now field they are speaking against this. Because embrawe eba the yepese ye trend say Ghana ni bia wo be produce innovative products bia no e wo say okokoji certification from the Cyber Security Authority and san and the product no etumi aba online. Because as currently, right, there are a lot of Ghanaians that will produce softwares e wo Play Store. A random software. Ebi a yemfa ne say a perfect example. Obi create software se o pese o change o exchange sika. Obetumi akwa banks a ebi a exchange no. Ebe favorable amount no wa select it. Obi create software bi se o pese auto fuel a obetumi akwa software ne so ne wenhu all the fueling stations no. And also a innovative way, right? Inti sisi and the pese se Ghana ni bia pese o create software and now o create innovative products bia. I was saying nipa kro no onya certification and sign a products na ko online. And you see with things like this, it will stifle innovation, especially in the tech area, because people will tell you say most of the tech products, even a brochure, most of the tech products nina ebabon say they are not products bia obeka say they got certification. Enkrofobia wo motina wo modem eno mu create software no and eba online no and bia investors eba mu and afei omoba be ye bibia right. It is a ka say obi create software and now obi create innovative products bi e was say wokokoje certification, especially when we live in a country where ye nina yenim say authorities be say no extremely political. Say authorities be say no say wan hwe ya okwa eje se utua bribe and san yema certification a atiase. People are speaking against it, and for me I understand them on that side. The certification of ABA innovative products anyamano, but you see the other side of it, and so and they say abaya tenase no mu ehun de say people are using, because say you cast a certification of inyama bi say ya, it will also fight against Ponzi schemes and the likes. People are using softwares to sort of dupe people. Actually, say people are using softwares and other things. And our model then edit airbook no. I think say the thinking of it no and ama buying edi adie we aba. But the other coin of it so no enya depa. And it is a reason why a lot of people are speaking against it. So that's that. Now blockchain say blockchain based technology and any other emerging technologies no. You see, once they say any other emerging technologies, that means they've included everything. Okay, so for this one, it will not let Ghanaian developers be innovative. Okay. Nti yɛmfa say like a perfect example. Yɛmfa say will be a NPP ni. Na opeso create some online platform bi na software bi ema NPP for wɔn betumi use as wɔn betumi use ɛwɔ internet ne so na aboa party no. Ɛwɔ sɛ wɔn kɔ aban hɔ ɛkɔkɔgye certification ansa na wɔn betumi alaunch saa wɔn software no. Ati ase. And no, you see an extremely political, and I'm not saying say that's what the NDC government will do, but imagine an extremely political governance like President Akufo-Addo's government. Na bibi sa aba beshe nsem. There's no way NDC for ebe yo mo adwen kra say wo the innovative program bi beba because enya dia ye be approve ya mo. So that's why people are speaking against it. Now, I say certify the security of innovative products, artificial intelligence, cloud technology, quantum computing, big data, Internet of Things, blockchain-based technology, and any other emerging technologies in accordance with the standards established pursuant to paragraph B. It is any American oya software way in area. I was say authority no certify approve ma wansa na software no walanche. I don't agree with that. Listen, one of the things are cryptocurrency and a blockchain-based technology. Ebabe blow out of proportion was the fact that it was not centralized. It was the fact that it came with the idea of decentralization. When I say idea of decentralization, what does it mean? Naturally say authority be ni ho I beka say ye cryptocurrency so. And so it gave people freedom. It gave the entire population freedom. So people in their rooms could create their own friends and technologies. Crypto-based technologies. I mean blockchain technologies. What you say? And so if you say and there obi person create innovative tech, artificial intelligence projects be. I was see a babenya certification and sana ye create I seriously for me for that side I don't support it. Maybe some other people are 80 maybe to me so maybe they see the sense in it, but for me I think that it's really going to create issues. Especially and the NDC are buying 1 million coders and as I'm George Nankasa yeah 1 million coders. Now so 1 million coders what are they supposed to do? We are training 1 million people, so those 1 million people will come out to create technology. Now all these 1 million coders tech be technology be technology no who knows maybe that be and then ebe boy as or mine Ghana ha. Near the Sankrofoni nansa no be your technology no mombra meji certification answer. You see, no one is saying certification here Bonio. But once you put something like that in front of innovation, it does not allow people to be innovative enough. People will feel like, oh, I say more demonstrate to your so into the idea na cry me dream ho cry no. The entire me ha me ho konko dream ho because me ba develop here mean to me you so e just me ba mo ho e ma mo ma me certification answer. Certification nso e bia me ba mo be ye me long san. It doesn't allow people to be innovative. So that one there Mr. Omontwentwen so. I know the Omontwentwen so. I say accredits the cybersecurity establishments of critical information infrastructure owners. Cybersecurity service providers, cybersecurity practitioners and professionals, and other relevant persons or institutions. Okay, into almost Subema accreditation. So Obia Oye Juma ewo cybersecurity side biano. Yebe accreditino. Okay. And they will also accredit establishments of cybersecurity information infrastructure owners and all that. For this, I think say there's nothing wrong. It's just like Opesel Ubie radio station. Okay. And a radio station bia there's an organization that's going to accredit you with a license before you can work. In the cybersecurity space, no, if you want to become a cybersecurity expert, you need some form of accreditation. It's just like if you want to be a lawyer, you need accreditation from the Ghana Legal Council. And now, doctor, you need some form of accreditation from maybe the medical association or whatever. Into when so cybersecurity expert. You need some form of accreditation. First, cybersecurity expert no money accreditations. Until for Weno, you need some form of accreditation. And I mean, for that, I don't have a problem. I'll say accredits non-profit cybersecurity institutions and cybersecurity professional bodies. I'll say promotes the online protection of women, elderly, persons with disabilities and undeserved populations. Nti no bill we nso ya ade bia ebebo mma ho ban. Senia obi ni oba nya asem a na waba online no didi oba atem odi oba ba bi edi natem ana obi ni oba enya asem na oni oba ni break up na oba no na deja odi aba betudwa saa de ni na no saa bill we ebe protect yemma akola bi enkoso camera emma medi panyin bi atem. And I think say part of this bill we free the calls from Ghanaians. Say Mahama ye bibio, send yankola, sorry, I want the camera see when him dim penny for atem no, ye bibio, and I think say ye di bill we aye aba. So this part of the bill no, let me know whether you like it or not. At ya say, intino sebe obi or live with disability and bibia untumi sorry and for camera see with him and yen yakayaka de na untumi kunkodi natem. Now see, collaborate with relevant institutions to develop mechanisms, including technical security solutions and guidelines on the usage of smart technology and other emerging technologies, and promote the protection of digital rights as it relates to cybersecurity. Now, I think the last one, and also you're good, say you promoted digital rights, because one of the things, and they say, Melody say, video where me, it is my right, I am a digital right. But obi betina baby na wakwa akofasa video ne keke ana wafasa mi video no na odi akwa akoto baby ana odi akwa akoposti dia nya sike bi e wo baby without my knowledge. It is embra way by is going to protect me. It's going to protect my digital right. It's just as Abia I have launched my book on weight loss. Okay? My launching my book on weight loss, how I lost weight. Now Ebia will be about the top PDF ne free me ho and now what the digital version of the book e free me ho. Now what book ni we no ono wa feature so koton amobi. The person is infringing upon my rights because I no true book no me na me true book no. What I say. So the person is more like infringing upon my digital rights. Into sambra way ba and as in share way ba is going to sort of protect me and my digital rights, right? I think say and also there is some sense in that. Now see, section 5 of Act. So it tells you that for me, the only place I have problem is the certification of a innovative technology. No, what I say, because you see, one thing about technology is that it is disruptive. You can't say be a disruptive. It does not need to be, unless maybe people are using it for bad, and I understand. But the best tech we've had in this world, at least as far as this generation is concerned, no, a tech bia initially no, and you say bia ye certification and say ye, or be no sorry ye, and or programming na adwin say minye BBC or ye no, and a fire and ye say later a fire no, and no mobile benya certification. Yanka say nipa kro no nya certification ansa na waba bedwen ho ansa na waba be ye. What you say? So I think say ehon ye betumi aye bibia fa ho. I say the principal enactment is amended in section 5 by the addition after subparagraph IV of paragraph A of subsection 1 of V, foreign affairs and regional integration and gender, children and social protection. Now I say the principal enactment is amended in section 13 by the substitution for paragraph D of section 2 of the executive director of the Data Protection Commission or any successor, official or entity by whatever name designated or a representative of the executive director with the requisite knowledge and skills in cybercrime and cybersecurity matters nominated by the executive director. Also, the substitution for paragraph G and K respectively of section 2 of G, the director of the National Intelligence Bureau or any successor, official or entity by whatever name designated or a representative of the director with the requisite knowledge and skills in cybercrime and cybersecurity matters nominated by the director. Now say the Director General of National Signals Bureau or any successor, official or entity by whatever name designated or a representative of the director with the requisite knowledge and skills in cybercrime and cybersecurity matters nominated by the director. Now, it goes on and it goes on. I think say this part of the bill, no. Okay, let's go to section 14 of Act 1038 amended The principal enactment is amended in Section 14 by the Constitution for subsection 1 of 14.1. The Joint Cyber Security Committee shall collaborate with the authority and the sectors of institutions represented on the committee for the implementation of relevant cybersecurity measures, including, but not limited to, the following ways: identification of cybersecurity risks that may affect critical information, infrastructure, or the overall cybersecurity of the country. B. Development of cybersecurity policies and guidelines based on identified risk, best practices, and international standards to mitigate cybersecurity risks. Coordination of cybersecurity activities between sectors and entities to ensure that all cybersecurity efforts are aligned to prevent overlap and gaps. Facilitate the sharing of information between sectors and entities in a secure manner and in compliance with relevant data protection laws. And I think it is one of the things that Ebeboa. Some facilitated the sharing of information between sectors and entities in a secure manner. Now, the reason why I'm saying that is that we live in a country where abide with your data, right? Oko the National Identification Authority, your data ni now our fingerprints, our names, our signature, our whatever. But oko baby for say, oko register. Yemfan say oko bank, say oko register na oko yewe. They are requesting to, or they are, and I say yemfan say ye be register for EC. They will take the same data again, your same events, saying fingerprints, your same whatever, through the same biometric. And so the problem is that, what is the essence of having our data in the system, and then every single point be a yebekono yeguso edge the same data? Into once we have a centralized force among these sectors of the economy and these institutions, no. Se me koko pie wo baby na me ko register for a bank account ni nyina ne se omo atwe me details, omo ahwe picture na e wo so no, omo ahwe me a me gina ho ne hu se indeed eye me. Ebia I'll verify, me fa me fingerprint in verify, and say bia me de me fingerprint register, but me de me fingerprint see so a ebetwe me information ni na aba no mo register me. And who here se me kwa for me lie, afiansa me be fill form, afiansa me be ye we, because me de me nsa ko team bibi so pe me information na ewo National Identification Authority hono ni na beba. Inti ohwe bill no ensemo a airtre a sa Cyber Security Authority omobe facilitate the sharing of information between sectors and entities in a secure manner, so that information no ebeye yebebo ho ban. And I think for that one I think is good. I say collaboration with sectors of institutions to tackle cybercrime, including the provision of a platform for incident sharing and incident response mechanisms to facilitate evaluation of the effectiveness of implemented okay, anyway. So this side no, I see collaboration with sectors of sectors or institutions to tackle cybercrime. You know, cyber mama ati say emra we no, epese emma encrophobia from the Cyber Security Authority to me. Na to me bako epese ye dem omo ene say ye bema eye omo to me akun etia cybercrime. Na ye ka cybercrime aso obi bokro no a wo use internet ne dey bokro no. It is obi use mobile money and now use internet in the dad obi aginesika or bonne chrono obi hacking to ebi or the internet ne hacking to WhatsApp. Mumu bebre no ya hacking to mo WhatsApp. Obi the internet no hacking to Facebook. Sa nyama ni na ye friend cyber crime. Enti sa authority we no. Emra we ya eba no ebe mo ahonden so that omo be kwetia sa nyama we ni na. Ati asiye. Na esanso ebe mo platform bia omo be share incidents and response mechanisms. Inti omo platform so omo be say oh asumesi ya hacking to the system. Say ni die ni enya yenko enti asa de no wati asiye. But you see, as I said, all these things Ghana won. And the thing is that I'll always tell you this. Our problem has not been emra. Ghana osha ya wombra pa. But our problem has always been the enforcement of Imrano. Inti idea we mu say no ye can ye be kan fe on the paper, but e ba say ye enforce Imrana. That is where the problem will always be. I say evaluation of the effectiveness of implemented cybersecurity measures based on established metrics with a view of continuously improve the cybersecurity measures and collaboration with the authority to educate the public on matters related to cybercrime and cybersecurity. Another one of the things almost sounds so bad, say, omo betre Ghana for nyam, because Ghana for be name say, oh, WhatsApp no, obi frɛ no obi say WhatsApp ma me pin code na saying melodies WhatsApp group mu obi de beto ho say in group bia wo wom no obi frɛ ne ka ne say group no yes san bi nti no ma send you pin code bi send ma me unim na send sa pin code ma send pa kono wa hack WhatsApp no. It is a idea we ni na ye entretre a e was ye tre Ghana for na sa cyber security authority ene ebe mo ahonden e ma wo mo atre Ghana for senia obeya ye nwia wo e wo internet so. Section 15A inserted. Also, the principal enactment is amended by the insertion after Section 15 of appointment of Deputy Directors General. Also, the President shall, in accordance with Article 195 of the Constitution, appoint such Deputy Directors General as are necessary for the performance of the functions of the authority. Intino, we no appointment no. Say His Excellency John Dramani Mahama Nankasa no be appointing for. Say omundi say jumano. The Deputy Directors General shall hold office on the terms and conditions specified in the letters of appointment. In the appointment na ye dey amono. Omo appointment letter no e betre say bia wo no ya appoint you for 7 years, wo no ya appoint you for 4 years. President ne kwa wo so wo aha ni na wo ho. The Deputy Directors General shall act in the absence of the Director General and perform any other functions are determined by the board. In this opinion, Deputy Directors ni nebe juma. The Deputy Directors General shall, subject to provisions of this act, assist the Director General in discharge of his functions. So this part is talking about impenyufo ebetina ekuna no. Ekuna ye mo ahonde no. Impenyufo we ebetina omo ano. Impenyufo no send the wasi form. One ebe select omo ni na. So I think said this one there's no problem there. Now I say the principal enactment is amended by the insertion after Section 20 of Terms and Conditions of Service of Staff. Into omo ye ejuma e wo ho no. Eye enyama bia wo mo benya. What you say? Terms of service. I say the terms and conditions of service of the staff of the authority shall not be less favorable than the staff of the security and intelligence agencies. The conditions of service attached to post of legal officers of the authority shall not be less than that of the post attached to that of legal officers of the Attorney General of the same rank. Staff shall, in addition to monthly salaries, be eligible for the payment of any gratuity, allowance, pension, subsidy, or benefit to members in respect of their service or resignation or retirement. Anyway, intino yebeti omoka every month. Omuria yebe sanso be mo allowance, or yebe ombeje pension. And this basically no and no a treaty ho. Now, also the principal enactment is amended by the insertion after Section 20 of powers of police. Now, say the Director General, Deputy Director General, and other authorized officers shall exercise the powers of a police officer. Now, I think said this is also one part of the bill and for MP because sa encrofu yebemo police for to me, right? Now, also including the powers of arrest, search, and seizure, and have the same rights, protections, immunities conferred on a police officer in the criminal and other offenses. Inti send your police for to me chiwo bia, ese chiwo bia, eye investigation e wo bia asem so no. Sa nkrofui yebemo mu sa to me no. Yebemo mu sa to me no. Inti no sa nkrofui. So this is a part where I'm seeing that a lot of people are not happy. Say, hey, not just nkrofui si ebemo mu to media. Omo hu ne say online. Obi kasetia obi ana obi di panyin bi atemu a omo hia wona yes ye ya chew. And they don't need the police. It will also a raise issue. Right? What do you think? If you say, like, what do you think about it? So they will have powers of a police. Obe to me acho. Oba online now the fake information ba. They don't need the police to come arrest you. Once I first no, nanke ye the police, the cyber unit, and a cyber crime office, and they say you may. But when you have dedicated officers, obi the fake news bi ba beto online a yebetumi akone akwa chini pakroni street. Anyway, section 31 of Act 1038 amended. The principal enactment is amended by substitution for section 31 of sources of money for the fund. Enti hifa no mbenye sika. Enkrofo no yebeti omoka. Hifa no mbenye sika ye dibeti omoka omo dibeyo ombedbedi omujuma. Ana omujume die na ye kanina. Hifa no mbenye sika onbedi sejuma no. Also, the sources of monies for the fund include A. Seed money approved by Parliament. Into 1. Parliament ebedi kan amomu sika. 2. Monies which may become lawfully payable to the authority for the fund. Enti se ye chise wudi bone a ida se ebema wetie sika na ebema wakwa akodem de wo pe no. Now we will come to that side. Say ebia wo the fake news eba beto online. Everyone say Mahama nye bibi. No send NPP for you no. Omo say Mahama ye bibi ni echewa. Sika obetua and our report story bi na ye fake news a. Sika obetua ne sa nyama ni na no. Me ye be koso na ehonso na nkrofo e complaining. Because who diagra udwe training na ye beje. Enti say sika na wakwa twantro edi akwa post fake story a ya chill setua no eno ene ye de behe eye sankrofo yi. 50% of all fines arising from criminal penalties under the act. Grants, gifts, donations and other voluntary contributions. Inti Ghana ni bia wo pese enkrofo ye bia wo do Mahama ana wo do Ekufuado pan na obi e di Ekufuado atem ni akwa kwachi se nipa kro no ana obi e twantro ato Ekufuado so ni achi se nipa kro no tinechi o se he ejuma mo cyber security for mo ye ne manage ho mo mame mo number na me fesika nto mo mamo ati just like me Melodies amiti he me to me report story bi no bi say Melody story na wa report no manage ho mame mo number na me fesika nto mo no aha o mo nso sa. Also 12% of communication service tax for the fund per annum, 9% corporate tax for the fund per annum, a charge determined by the authority in accordance with the Fees and Charges Miscellaneous Provisions Act 2018, Act 983, and levied on persons licensed by the Bank of Ghana to carry on business. A proportion of the fees charged on all government electronic services determined by the authority, and any other monies approved by Parliament for the fund. Now, see Section 35 of Act 1038 amended. The principal enactment is amended by substitution for Section 35 of designation of critical information infrastructure. Now, I'll say, but the minister may, on the advice of the authority, designate a computer system or computer network as a critical information infrastructure if the minister considers that the computer system or computer network is essential for national security, the economic and social well-being of citizens, or C, public health and safety. Anyway, 2, where the minister designates a computer system or computer network as a critical information infrastructure, the minister shall publish the sector of the designated critical information infrastructure in the Gazette, and the owner of the critical information infrastructure shall be notified of the designation. The minister shall, in making a determination under subsection 1, consider if the computer system or computer network is necessary for A, the security, defense, or international relations of the country, B, the production, preservation, or identity of a confidential source of information related to the enforcement of criminal law, the provision of services directly related to communications and telecommunications infrastructure, banking and financing services, public utilities, public transportation, public key infrastructure. D, the protection of public safety and public health, including systems related to essential emergency services, and international business or communication affecting a citizen of Ghana or any other international business in which a citizen of Ghana or the government has an interest, the legislature, executive, judiciary, public services or security agencies, or digital services, services related to the supply chain and the critical information infrastructure core system, and other services determined by the minister on the advice of the authority. The minister shall, by publication in the Gazette, establish the procedure for the regulation of a critical information infrastructure. Now, Section 36 of Act 1038 amended. The principal enactment is amended by substitution for Section 36 of Registration of Critical Information Infrastructure. Now, see, the owner of the designated critical information infrastructure shall register their critical information infrastructure with the authority and shall pay the prescribed annual registration and designation fee as determined by the authority or stipulated in a legislative instrument. For compliance purposes, the owner of an unregistered critical information infrastructure shall receive a notification of registration letter from the authority to comply with the Act. Now, I want to understand this particular part very well. Now, I say the minister may, on the advice of the authority, designate a computer system or computer network as a critical information infrastructure. Now, minister no able to meet the nepe. And yes, a nepe per se, basically, mumfanche me. And ya nepe, minister na on fan nepe. Minister, who minister in the person of Sam George. A futu authority way ebe mano no. Ebe designate a computer system or computer network as a critical information infrastructure. Also, if the minister considers that the computer system or network is essential for national security, the economic and social well-being of citizens, or public health and safety. Now, so you can say computer system or computer network. Basically, what does it mean? Computer network, basically, a system be a facilitated the communications of system be a facilitated the communication between two or more computers or two or more systems, right? Technically, WhatsApp a war hosano. It is a system. It is a computer network or a computer system. Why? Because WhatsApp, aside being a social media, it also facilitates communication between devices, right? Yes, minister no. See you tune for near trend say system bi wo ho. Sa system no. Ebetumi aboa Ghana for. Ebetumi aboa yen in terms of national security. Ahobambo hunsem. Ebetumi aboa yen in terms of public health. There is a computer system bi ebetumi aboa yen in terms of economic and social well-being. Minister no otie futuo from sa authority ya ye kan mo hunsem ye bill ya for mo ho a. Minister no betumi designate sa system no afre o more critical information infrastructure. Inti minister no ebia wakwa ko hu system bi wo baabi system we ebetumi about. And a perfect example is say when I was doing my final year, I built more like a system that would help facilitate or will help that time in K University science students communicate, right? It is ebia minister no betumi hu system bi sa no aka say system we esan say airboa students ewo K University ninti no system no ye man a special treatment bi na sa special treatment no ye friend of critical information infrastructure. Not just as system we no information bi a free so airba no e critical. Ye man a special treatment because ebeboa. Now, that is what this part is talking about. Okay? Say minister no eno wo say to me na obetumi dia to system bi so say system we ye to need critical information infrastructure. Na say sa critical information infrastructure ya minister no betumi name any computer system no based on system na ade bi e de beboa Ghana for no. Say yen ye tiechi ana wo tiechi na wo pese who create an infrastructure like that, critical information infrastructure. Now create system bi a ye be hu say ye critical information infrastructure na e de na e wo say wo ye in registration, right? Inti no na what say the owner of the designated critical information infrastructure shall register their critical information infrastructure with the authority and shall pay the prescribed annual registration. It's me melodies amity say me build system bi computer systems na me friend no melody systems. Say Emma critical information. Emma Ghana for critical information on something very serious. Right? Ebetumi abo mo ho ban a. E wo say me call authority ne ho na me call register. Na me register ye be gi me sika every single month. For compliance purposes, the owner of an unregistered critical information infrastructure shall receive a notification of registration letter from the authority to comply with the act. It is a me building me system ni we na me use me magana for use na me register ya. One be send me letter atre me say me register. Also during registration, the owner of a critical information infrastructure shall nominate a point of contact and submit details of the nominee to the authority. It me ko register. Metre say muhiam bibia monfre me and I monfre nipa we, just like registering a company. So basically it's just like registering a company. Okwa obetie sika bi obeyesi ode nkrofo bi din beto ho omo contacts ebi your directors ni is simple as that. Just that one say we know a digital system. Into no eno no mo kanesa no. Into say the owner of a critical information infrastructure shall submit to the authority verified details of critical information infrastructure through the channels and modalities determined by the authority. So I think say we all understand this part, okay? And this part is really not a big deal for me like that. But me assure sir or more creative systems no. Omeka so maybe I just say technology creative systems have or see a barrier stance you use anyway. I say the principal enactment is amended by a substitution for section 37 of withdrawal of designation of critical information infrastructure. 37. Now say the minister may, on the advice of the authority, withdraw the designation of a critical information infrastructure at any time if the minister considers that the computer or computer network no longer satisfies the criteria of a critical information infrastructure. Inti minister ne betina zi no hu ni se o system na odi aba ne kra no enso eni bioma obetumi etwanabo at yase basically that. Now I think the problem here is that just as we say we live in an overly politicized country where everything is politics. Inti if systems like this are going through political figures, one here the politicization of them no at yase inti opponents no ebetumi aka say yen pese building a system say beboa ebia yen opposition party no na tese mo betumi aka say mo be pene ana mo mpene. And I think that's where issues will be. Now let's go to section 40 of Act 1038 amended. Also the principal enactment is amended in section 40 by substitution for subsection 2 of 2. A person who contravenes subsection 1 commits an offense and is liable on summary conviction to a fine of not less than 4,000 penalty units, not more than 25,000 penalty units or both. Inti mrana ye hyehyɛ no. Se obi kokobu mrane so. Na wankwanko di mrane so a ye afi ye beka asotwe a ye de bema say nipa kro no. Na asotwe ne say 4,000 penalty units to 25,000 penalty units or both. Right? Now say section 47 of Act 1038 amended. The principal enactment is amended in section 47 by the addition after subsection 6 of 7. A sectorial computer emergency response team shall within 24 hours after receiving a report of a cybersecurity incident from the owner of a designated critical information infrastructure, a service provider, a license, or any relevant person report the cybersecurity incident to the National Computer Emergency Response Team. Now, I think say maybe this side is also good. Inti yebepe team bia to wire from the National Computer Emergency Response Team. Yemfa ne se mi amiti hei. Me hu video na me hu ne se obi twantro NPP ni bi aba be ye fake news. Right? Afa mahama ho ana wa ye fake news ana obi aba be ye fake news afa President Akufo-Addo ho. Se bia wo di boni bi na nkrofo ogidi a me report it quickly no metumi a report sa video no ana metumi a report sa content creator no ama eye team bia ye from the National Computer Emergency Response Team. Online me hu ne se obi bokro no obi ye bibi cyber crime bi quickly metumi a report it ama sa national way no. For that I think say there is no problem, but how are we going to filter it out? Because obviously nanseyana Daniel Domelovo eba beka kire Ghana for say oral committee no tena ase a wo ka se wo mo je input no kofu bebre de nkwase asem ebae nsem ne de na bebre wo mu a indeed krono nsem ewom but bebre na nso na ye nkwase asem nti no I think say omo benye adwuma because Ghana ha de obi betumi ebia metumi aye story bi me story no anya obi de eho na na o se wa report ya momo meanwhile ombe waste time akwa hwem kra no na me ndi bo ne bia nti ane de omo mbo aba omo ho nkwase asem ne de Ghana for be report bebre amomo ati ase or say the addition after subsection 7 of a sectorial computer emergency response team who contravenes subsection 6 is liable to pay to the authority the administrative penalty specified in the second schedule. Now, section 49 of Act 1038 amended. The principal enactment is amended in section 49 by the substitution for subsection 1 of 1. A person shall not provide a cybersecurity service for a reward unless that person obtains a license issued by the authority in accordance with the act. And I think say we so no another thing that Ede Bane says say onye licensed professional and a cybersecurity near eni hu kwan say ukokoye adwuma ma obi a wo say wo gisika. And I think say what this one also wants to do is to license people in the name of cybersecurity experts. On say first yes you be a cybersecurity expert I want share any license bia to make oji sika say oye hu adwuma security adwuma bi if you are not licensed you to me nkonko you adwuma mo bi ati ase ebi mu build the systems na systems no obekwa akwa experts bia ebia na system no obi to me hack into the system inti ende uyo obi a obwa nkrofo so that yen hack into their systems are one I was say okokoje license answer because ukoye adwuma mo bi na only license a ya betumi ache watum. It was say a person shall not provide a cybersecurity service on a not-for-profit basis unless that person obtains an accreditation issued by the authority in accordance with the act. A person who contravenes subsection 1 and 2 is liable to pay to the authority administrative penalty, the equivalent to the cost of damage caused and value of the financial gain made, or an administrative penalty of not less than 50,000 penalty units and not more than 100,000 penalty. And I understand why my fellow programmers or my fellow computer scientists are not happy with this, because some of them get gigs and they do things like this. They create softwares, do cybersecurity gigs without any form of license. Tiende obeji omo license not just a license ni na yesika sem obeji omo sika na nyama. I say you'll be taxing them and all that. Intiana, I say most of them are fighting against idea we know. Maybe if this thing is going to be implemented well, I don't have a problem with it, right? It sort of sanitizes the field, and it even creates some portfolio for people like that, right? It creates a legitimate portfolio for people in that light. Say, oh, I am a cybersecurity expert. That you say, but this is just a bill at this point, so people have to put their. But one thing they say, NDC has majority in parliament. Into whether we speak or not, if they really want to pass this to become a law, it will become a law, and there's nothing anyone can do about it. And I think that it's also an area where a lot of people are not happy with. Okay, now, also the principal enactment is amended by the substitution for section 57 of the authority shall establish a mechanism for the accreditation of cybersecurity professionals and practitioners. An individual shall not practice as a cybersecurity professional or cybersecurity practitioner unless that individual has been accredited by the authority. I think all this side makes sense. Now, see, the principal enactment is amended by in section after section 57 of Cyber Hygiene Certification Scheme. Also, the authority shall establish a scheme for the certification of cybersecurity professionals and practitioners and cybersecurity service providers who will be entrusted to perform cyber hygiene certification service as an alternative to other international best practice security frameworks. The Cybersecurity Authority shall conduct periodic audits to ensure compliance with the cyber hygiene certification scheme and associated prescribed fees. Any compliance, as our word we, this word, na me pronouncing the compliance, Emma melodies, ebusuani bi, eba betre me say the T is silent. Last me wo ho melodies ebusuani bi nso aba betre me say, send me pronouncing the first na yes na the T is not silent. Mr. Mo, send me pronouncing the mo fan is right now I have a section telling me that it is the T is silent. Obiade ne your friend saying the evidence betre me say T no is silent. Obi nso de ne dey by evidence no dictionary I say T no and yes silent. Mr. Mo, let me just pronounce it. Right? No one should come and tell me say I've pronounced it wrong. Because it looks like both pronunciations need no right. It was say any compliance regarding non-compliance shall be investigated and appropriate enforcement action shall be taken. Anyway, I'll say the principal enactment is amended by the insertion after section 58A of the application for certification to provide the cyber hygiene certification services. And it goes on, a licensed cybersecurity service provider or accredited CP who seeks to provide the authority's cyber hygiene certification process shall apply in writing to the authority. Okay, so this is a whole scheme, right? And I think that this bill will, in a way, create an ecosystem for cybersecurity field. Now, I have a friend, Mewadamphobia, and I'll like to get his thoughts on this. Mewadamphobia, or your NPP near, or your cybersecurity expert. I'd like to get his thoughts on this because the NPP are speaking against this bill, right? But in essence, no. So we are cybersecurity expert. You might be happy for this bill because what this bill is going to do is that it's going to open up your ecosystem. It's going to the ebe say bie ecosystem ni mu ama cyber security atre ewo Ghana. Aye big deal ewo Ghana. And I've told you, just as doctors, yehu doctors are ye more license no, it is going to create that whole system. Because Ghana has said the truth of the matter and they say, uko every single institution, right? Ewo or my way mu yemfa say tertiary institution. We don't really focus on cybersecurity. I don't know for now, but me yeah, computer science no. We didn't really focus on cybersecurity until say ABR, or person federal education. That one no better say me yes cybersecurity. But I think that this is going to open up even courses for cybersecurity in our tertiary institutions. So instead of ABR will be go school say work computer engineering because first all person yes cybersecurity, I just say work computer science or computer engineering. But you'll be focusing on programming because computer science and computer engineering in Ghana they focus on programming. But in that field, no, there is networking, there is programming, there is cybersecurity. And every single person a wire computer science in himself way. So who real computer science degree course now is either you specialize in programming, that is software development, or you specialize in networking, or you specialize in cybersecurity. And I think that's a bill way back. Ni you share the good side of the bill la. It is going to open that space where Obibeka say, okay, may go university akwa course on cybersecurity. So I don't need to go and do computer science, but I'm going to do cybersecurity as a course because ye biemu. There is certification, there is an organization looking after it, there is payment and everything. What you see? So I think that the good side of this bill is that it is, for me, it is huge. It is something huge. And that is what I see. But obviously, the side of the bill I feel say, the innovation, I don't agree with. But aside that, bill, for me, I'm not really seeing that. Serious. I'm really not seeing that. Now, see, the principal enactment is amended by us a standardized review and administration of fees for cyber hygiene certification. I mean, this is the cyber hygiene certification. Okay, accreditation of non-profit cybersecurity institutions. Now, enforcement of powers. Okay, also the principal enactment is amended by the section after section 59 of enforcement powers. Also, a person who knowingly fails to comply with or act in contravention of this act, regulations or directives issued under the act, knowingly fails to comply with prescribed cybersecurity standards and requirements, provide cybersecurity services without a license, or act as a cybersecurity professional or practitioner without accreditation, willfully obstructs, hinders, molests, or assaults personnel of the authority duly engaged in exercise of power conferred in the authority under this act. Inti cybersecurity ni bi eba wo office ye be check in nyama bi na wonim na obo omo ana oyo mo yakayaka de ti say ne odon sa kokka police ade de be ye no em say no a commit an offense and is liable on summary conviction to a term of imprisonment of not more than 5 years or to a fine of not more than 20,000 penalty units or to both. Right? So where an offense is committed by a corporate entity, that entity is liable to a fine of not more than 20,000 penalty units, and each director of that entity shall be deemed to have committed the offense. And someone yaken na se wunim na wankwango diswa wasube tumi ayeshi. Now see, despite subsection 1, the authority may, where a person has breached this act, regulations, or directives, or where a licensee, an accreditation holder, has breached a condition contained in its license or accreditation, warn the person, licensee or accreditation holder, into Saukoko Tia Embra, 1, you bet me a warning. 2, issue a cease and desist order. 3, apply to the High Court for an injunction to restrain the person, licensee or accreditation holder from continuing the breach, or other appropriate order to enforce compliance with the act. D, propose amendments to the license or accreditation in accordance with this act or regulations, suspend or terminate the license or accreditation in accordance with this act, impose administrative penalties in accordance with the second schedule of the act, or take any other action that it considers appropriate and that is not contrary to this act. Nothing shall prevent the authority from pursuing only criminal enforcement actions under subsection 1, or only administration enforcement actions under subsection 2, or a combination of both. Now see, the principal enactment is amended by the insertion after section 59A of power to conduct investigation and to prosecute cybercrime. This was also a field where a lot of people were talking about. Let's look at it and then make some sense out of it. Now see, the authority shall, upon the occurrence of a cybersecurity incident or the cybercrime, conduct criminal investigations and prosecute same. Authority no ewo to me say cybersecurity incident be a sia, cybercrime be a sia. Authority no ebe investigating, no more prosecuting. As I've told you, first no, say cybercrime sia, police, cybercrime unit, ene hustle. But sia no, authority no, ene beji sa juma no aye. Inti enya se sa de we ye ni wo e wo hode da, just that ye be create a whole authority to deal with it. I say the authority shall have the jurisdiction to prosecute all offenses under the Electronic Transaction Act. Inti just as police prosecute all offenses, no, this authority is here to prosecute, right? Now see, where a person is convicted of a cyber crime under this act, the authority may apply to the court for an order to confiscate monies, proceeds, benefits, properties, and assets purchased by a person with proceeds derived from or in the commission of the cyber crime. Inti se obi use internet no e de bo obi krono a sa authority we no ebe court ni yaji to me ne sika na ne pa krono wabo krono no yaji efri ne nsem. I saw guy be or attack Sam George. And the authority ni ebe mo mu to me and mo ma ba be season crofo phone. Away, and this was the part the person was quoting. But if you read for yourself, this is not bad. If you read for yourself, this side is not bad. And therefore, so as I was saying, for me, I don't know. I've read the bill up to this point. I've read it. I've told you where I don't agree with. But yesterday, some people were making noise. And yeah, Sam George, Ogu, and this no. I mean, from what I am reading, is that what it sounds like? I don't know. Now, let's go to, I'll say, power to request for information. The authority may, for the purposes of carrying out an investigation in respect of contravention of the Act, regulations, or any other relevant enactment by the owner of a critical information infrastructure, a licensee, a service provider, or any other person, by notice in writing, require a person to A. Attend at a time and place specified in the notice and furnish the authority with information related to matter relevant to the investigation. A notice under subsection 1 shall indicate the subject matter and purpose of the request. Where a person required to furnish the authority with an information is under an obligation not to disclose or assert a right not to disclose, the authority shall apply to High Court for an order for production of the information. Now, this is also one part and Nkrofo say it here. I say the authority, for the purposes of carrying out an investigation in respect of contravention of the Act or any other relevant enactment by the owner of a critical information infrastructure, a licensee, a service provider, or any other person, by notice in writing, require a person to attend a time and place specified in the notice. Now, obi run a system be under this particular bill. This whole system. I have told you, the purpose of this bill for me, I understand that government wants to expand the cybersecurity field because we've gotten to a point where people are being duped online. And it is cybercrime. So I understand that government wants to make this cybersecurity area expand so that more professional dealings will go in there. That is my understanding of this bill. And that bill here make say my understanding of bill no any mean. Ye tre say bibi ba besi e wo system bi so. Na eye the authority no ehia information na. Ye be trauma nipa kro na say braha time we na fa information we ebre yen. O system na dey na si ye problem we e ba ye ade we ye to yen no e ba na say na si ye. Se nipa ko no ba be do authority n'anim. Na nipa ko no say da bi me ma mo information because I have the right not to speak. The authority no ebe court. Na omo akwa mo asem atre court. Se court tre say fa information man authority ni by force. E was all the information ni ma. So then again, I don't also understand why people are speaking against this particular bill, especially this side. I've told you the problem I have with the bill, but in general, I think the bill is good. I'm not going to lie. After reading the cybersecurity bill, at least reading page 15 out of the 32, personally, I think this bill is going to help us, especially with the security. Right? I don't know. Maybe because Obibeka so NDC, but what is wrong about this bill? Because social media NPP phone someone can say, hey, especially this part. Say, hey, ombe to me ababe seeking information. Ababe say by force me more information. Say my farm more ye be chimi. But my can no. Is that what the bill is saying? That be the bill is not even talking about any individual or say service providers or licensee. You can so be a service provider why? And then me use MTN. MTN am a service provider. And you won't put one sem the yeka. And you the user and put one sem the yeka. We are talking about there's more creative systems now. Ye be use no. Cyber security systems no. Omo ekoko ye ebia boni bisi obi wi misika na MTN. Ye bisa ebia na makwakọ report ni ekoko obi wi misika from mobile money ni makwakọ report na ebia yakwakọ bisa MTN. And I tron krata ma MTN say we find information emra. Else MTN the information call. It is not even talking about you the individual. It's talking about the service providers. Because these are the people who are building systems, this infrastructure. So I don't understand what's going on here. Why are we? I say, mintias yes, microphone anti bill nas you say ye dear microphone. I don't understand. Seriously, I don't get it. What is going on? I say application for production order to collect computer data. An investigative officer may apply ex parte to the High Court for a production order to collect computer data. Or say a production order under section 1 shall require a person in possession or control of a computer or computer system to submit specified computer data which is stored in the computer or computer system to the investigative officer. Ahasen so me hu say enkrofo bi ka say hey me kra me phone na officer ne betumi agi phone no na ene de data bi e wo me phone no so bia no wage da bi enya sa na wo ka o say investigative officer bi nti asem bi ba ne ehu ne say krono bi esi e wo computer system bi so a obi a wo investigate no officer no investigate no e wo say wo apply to court. Na court ema ni to me say okay system na krono no esi wo so no momfa mu information ema investigator no hu ne say krono no efri hi na eba we boni wom ena NPP for ababe ena we na chese mikita mi phone na wo be gina wa babe he data na o mi phone so obi ani wa ta se me kreni e grofo ben kreni a engrofo ben kreni. A production order under section 1 shall require a person in possession or control of a computer or computer system to submit specified computer data which is stored in a computer or computer system to the investigative officer. An investigative officer who makes an application under section 1 shall demonstrate to the satisfaction of the court. Tinipakune cry was so court. A court demonstrate to the satisfaction of the court that there are reasonable grounds to believe that the computer data is reasonably required for the purposes of a specific criminal investigation. Where an investigative officer makes an application under section 1, that investigative officer shall explain why the investigative officer believes the computer data sought will be available to the person in control of the computer or computer system. Identify and explain with specificity the type of computer data suspected to be found on the computer or computer system. Identify and explain with specificity the computer data that may be found on a computer or computer system that is the subject of an investigation or prosecution. Identify and explain with specificity the offenses in respect of which the production order is sought. Inti answer na nipa kontra benya data no. Ana wo de be court na wo se wo tretre nsem mu se computer data na mepe every system we so no die enti a mepe no eni krono bi ko so yekoye bibi boni bi enam so ma bibi siye misusu se aha na free ba enti data na betre se indeed the free han obetre sansem ni na e wo court ansa na judge na ka se okay yemfa data na ma se nipa krono. Is this not already happening in this country? Is it not already? In fact, Uko Police Cyber Crime Unit krana. I don't think say first no na esisa. And a perfect example is say would tie people like Okatechi Frifa and bra no police for chain no. Asem what kind say womoje ni phone any ni data. Right? Now, Embra police for an national security for chain Okatechi Frifa yes womoje ni phone any ni data no. They didn't go to court. In fact, under NPP, Abrante bi efeno Kweku Rafiki. Ono nso sa national security for chain omo ji ni phone. But omo anko court. Emra we no sisia no ehye se anse ne ebia ye beji u phone na wo computer na obi bi no. E wo so omo court. E kokko tre wo nsem mu. I seriously or say application for warrants to access, search, and seize computer data, computer or computer system. An investigative officer may apply ex parte to the High Court for a warrant to A. Access data on a computer or computer system, search and seize a computer or a computer system. Intino will be used to computer. I mean, if we talk about computer or computer system, a phone is also part of a computer system anyway. It will be used to phone B, and I will be used to system B. Na yehu ne say phone no ana system na wo use no odidi bone or the bokro no a sa authority we ya ma omutumi no ombetumi esizi phone no and ombetumi esizi o computer system no. Now I understand the Ahasen Sonkrofo kasa about it. I understand. For me, I think say the problem is with the wording. Sani I was say an investigative officer may, because brofumu no ye can may dia na say officer ne pair. Into officer ne pair obekọ court. No akwa kwache nkrata no dey seize wo phone no. And this is where I also think that it's like some people might abuse it. Right? This is where I also think that some people might abuse it because say you can say may, you use the word may. I think that the word that should be used is shall. Okay? I think that the word that should be used here is shall. You can say shall. Not to say by force. Say me kita me phone. Now Philly say me the phone need the bonnet. Now person will investigate here. Men can say may. Can say shall. Because what can say may there not to say open now be court. Inti who use shall. Not to say by force answer now be seizing me phone no. Try me court and cry to answer. And I think there's that part. That part also at here. And also I don't agree with it at here. And also there I don't agree. I don't agree with this part. Wow. I don't I don't agree with that part also. Into I say access data on the computer or computer system, search and seize the computer or computer system, or make or restrain a copy of the system. I think the problem I have with that is the may, right? I have a problem with may. So aside that, I'll say grants of warrants. The High Court may grant an application for a warrant under subsection 1 of section 59F if the court is satisfied that the investigative officer has complied with subsection 3 and all that. You know, say court no ever granted warrant ama officer. Say officer no as your per warrant what they call search you be. Say court no be grant ya. I will say I mean they are saying that in say officer and I will say or treachery and someone and all these sides are the good side. But I've told you my issue is with the may and wherever I'm having issues with no, I'm letting you know. Now I'll say application for preservation order to preserve computer data. I'll say a provider of wire or electronic communication services or a remote computing service on the written request of a law enforcement agency shall take the necessary steps to preserve records and other evidence in its possession pending the issue of a court order and shall take steps to ensure that the request by the law enforcement agency is not disclosed to third parties during the period. I'll say where an order from the court is not obtained and served for 14 days after the receipt of the written request, the wire or electronic communication services or remote computing service provider is not under any obligation to produce the evidence. Okay, grant of preservation order. Now there's another part here. I say power of entry, inspection and audit. Or say the authority may designate a person as an inspector to inspect premises. A person designated as an inspector by the authority may obtain a warrant to enter and inspect premises and conduct an audit of a computer system. Intino, ombetumi aboira ofie. Say hey, aboira ofie yesusu say o de o system bi e di bone. Intino, yes, chill. As I'm saying, you see all these things they could become political too. And I think that we should treat all the sides young here better than the political too, no. And then again, another problem I have with this is with the use of may. A person designated as an inspector by the authority may. You see, we've read Ghana Constitution. And anywhere the Constitution says may, what it's saying is that opea obeye, opea wonye. Tell someone what can they say? Officer be pair, obeko court, no wakwa warrants, no waboira ofie, no wa search because ususu say bia, o the system be wo ofie e di bone. Now the question is that Yesi opa obeye sa nti onpa de no obeye. Onpa na chese no nkonkoje court order. Right? Onpa na chese nkonkoje court order. No say obu era of and that one is an invasion of privacy. So I think say all these sites no, instead of the word may, they should use shall. Say no officer ne ba me fie no person ba be search me systems a. I was say will produce court order, warrants and san we to me search it. Because ye ne sa and no need to not become a political tool. Because for all you know, and you see, in Yama be saying no, na ye NDC for nti because NDC are buying no your support. But put yourself in the shoes of President Akufo-Addo Amemo. Say nanka mra we wo ho. Na me melodies me ti fie me recording. You see officer B, President Akufo-Addo officer B will to me say obeba me fie no aba be seize me nyama just because me criticize Akufo-Addo. Obviously it's not right. So the potential sa de no ebia na aban foforo bi beba no aba be use etia Ghana for no high. Inti ye mbra na ye nya ne ye. Inti the problem again is the use of may. Mr. Let us use shall. Let's use shall. I don't agree with this. It is not right. I'm not going to lie to you. I think this one here, let's do something about it. No. Now, I want to, as a witness and informant protection, okay, obi, a witness, and I say, okoko chuki obi say nipa kro we or the system we deep on into mumra bechina the person will be protected. Or say, except with the written, informed, explicit, and freely given consent of a witness or informant, no witness or informant who discloses information related to cybercrime under this act or administrative infractions under this act shall be obliged to disclose his name or address or other personal information or state any matter which might lead to their discovery. I think that one also makes sense. Now, I say so a side be a encrofo MP or say cyber security and online harassment or more dim for a diding encrofo atem no. This is also a part where they don't like, and this is I think say a very important side. Now, I'll say a person shall not use the internet or any form of electronic medium or technology to bully a child or an adult. It will say ye use internet, ye ma use internet no. Inti untumi nko online enko di akwala bi atem. Untumi nko online enko di penyi bi atem. Now the problem also with this side is with the word bully. Who is describing the word bully? And I think say the bill right needs to go further to explain the word bully. Does bully mean say me di penyi bi aba be si yemfa ne say ende obi de asante hene aba be si online no wo di natem? Does it mean that the person is trying to bully Asante Hene or trying to harass Asante Hene? So yes, sir, embrane be due. And this side also, there is also a political tool. Because maybe politician be a bibi. May melodies may can't politician no one say may bonichi. Se me kokobo politician nature. Politician no be to me akwa report me say me bully no. Meanwhile, it is not bully, a criticism. It is a embra we say yanhwe ni entumi anka ni ye a yanhwe ya Kevin Taylor muni na ho beba asem because Kevin Taylor ende or the kisie jaben eba be si ho na or expose kisie jaben a kisie jaben betumi afechi akwa say Kevin Taylor is bullying me. So you understand what I'm saying? Say let us explain the bullying. The bill should go further to explain the word bully. What does it mean to bully? Se nipa kona ya ade na wo kan, does it amount to bully? Because some people also see that as bully. So let us explain. Because ye jane trasa say, don't bully a child or an adult. Every single social media communication biano. Right? Every single social media communication biano. You see, ye be to me skew nino. Ye be skew obi eka obi wan sem na anye ne depe. Or si we bully me. You ain't chilling to enye fe. It is outside there. I think say yanheya be hardwin. Or say a person shall not use a computer or any other electronic medium to send a threatening message or a loud message to a child. To use computer, use bibia say akola bi na wo send a message bi ehun ensem fata e koma akola yen so. I agree with that. Make sexual advances towards a child. Yeah, man, use internet. Enko Nansing ese akola bi a Wendy Shea any akola bi twa video a akola no wako viral e wo TikTok. Nansing yesi akola no e ba be complain say e mema mpanyimfo bi e wo ni DMs mu e na omo tata no. Sa nyama we ni na sa mema na wo mo use TikTok say akola ketwa oni Wendy Shea abon nyom keke nti akola ketwa wo bema wenyi na wo kosene na nyama ehu hia wo ku trap some part of your body sene akola no wo see ehwo na ya ba be chill streets. Nti say persistently make contact with the child whether or not the contact is acceptable or another person where the contact is unacceptable. A person shall not create a false identity online or a fake social media profile for the purposes of the following. Nti we treat fake news for no. Melodies ebusi eni be complain tre me say obi yusu asiedun ketia ono no office say asiedun ketia obi yusu asiedun ketia online edidi ni sika about 3,000 cedis na eye ne say asiedun ketia meanwhile eye nipa boni ni bi ena obakwa akofa asiedun ketia mfoni ena odi create page a watu ne di asiedun ketia na odi bu nipa say nipa ya wakwa akodi sa boni say ye report ya authority we omeye investigation on watch nipa kro no. Enti wu nim now use false identity online ye becho. Ukoko use fake social media profile ye becho. Enti say for purposes of the following, a child whether or not the contact is acceptable or an adult where the contact is unacceptable. Enti no atiase and also this side of the bill also I personally the only problem I have is with the bully. What do you term as bully and how it will not become a political tool? I say a person shall not use an online computer system or any other electronic device to track the location of the child. Monitor the real world activities of a child, track the location of another person without the consent of that person. Only obi date now the tracker ato ne so just because you are dating the person. No, if I come to me report any actual. As monitor the real world activities of another person without the consent of that person, obsessively track the location of a child, another person without the consent of that person. Despite Section 4, a parent or legal guardian may, for the purposes of ensuring the safety of a child, track the location of the child or monitor the real-world activities of the child. As a person shall not use an electronic device or medium to send unwanted, unsolicited, a frightening, an obscene, a harassing, or a threatening electronic mail, text message, or instant message to a child or an adult. A service provider of a user-to-user service, including a chat room, a social network site, an online gaming platform, a virtual, and it goes on. A person shall not use an electronic device or an electronic medium to deliberately spread false or misleading information with the intent to deceive or manipulate a person or a fact. Inti unto me posti bibi ewo online fan da nipa. Waba beso camera. Ye video YouTube. Na chantro. Unim se chantro pa na so na woka. Ye becho. Na utumu say we a part of the bill ama NPP phone na no. Omu soon because omu diagra ya chi omu atum. So basically no cyber stalking of a person, you can't harass or stalk a person. And I mean basically no what some people were calling for. Once His Excellency John Dramani Mahama Baya and Crawford can say akola to me so camera no dinner term. In fact, Nibakra wakan sa assembly ye kweku menu. And I think that this bill sort of treats that. Let me know your thoughts on this in the comment box. What do you think? What do you think? Your comment box anymore. This video has been long. I didn't want to do it in parts because I'm person me one time. I long, but more fan cheme. Your comment box anymore.